Hello everybody, it's Hank from the PR52 YouTube channel, and welcome to BTFL Red Zone. We're going to have the late games of Week 5, games between the Broncos and the Chargers, Bears at Raiders, which is going to be a London game, and the Packers at Cowboys. Rick 8-Bit is going to commentate on the Bears-Raiders, Charger Dude 95, Broncos Chargers, and his debut, Chrissufferable Hollinsworth, will be commentating over the Packers and Cowboys. Welcome to commercial-free football on these late games of action. We've got the coin toss going on between these three games, and we will get you to one of these games, likely being the one where the return man ends up in the best field position. And we're here, Raiders, Bears in London with Rick 8-Bit.
Kenny Stabler back. Fakes the handoff. Always going downfield. A little short pass to Casper, but they gained about 18 yards on that. They are now in Chicago territory. Stabler back. Pocket is collapsing, and he's getting taken out by Charles Tillman with the sack. Second down and 15. Almost.
Big action in the Packers-Cowboys game. Chrissufferable Hollinsworth. Let's see what happened here. You were to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. He was really good in 2016. Roger Staubach, who won 2 Super Bowls, much like Patrick Mahomes, throws the ball deep, and it's caught by CeeDee Lamb, is the wide receiver version of Patrick Mahomes. Now, here's a guy who can score quite a touchdown, and that'll put the Cowboys up in this game by the score of 6-0. Pivotal play here for the Packers and the Cowboys. Let's go to Nick Rice, Broncos Chargers.
Part of a terrific front three for the Broncos. Miller, one of the many on the rush. Rivers hangs in, launches to Gates, who was open for a touchdown, but he overthrew him.
Well, that'll be a punt. Let's go to Rick 8-Bit, Bears Raiders in London, and the Raiders are attempting a field goal.
Ooh, Chicago almost blocked that, but Blonda nails it. It's 3-0 Raiders.
Let's back up a bit on how the Raiders got in this position. Stabler to Tim Brown gets to around the 20-yard line. Marcus Allen marches up the field, replacing Bo Jackson. And then Ken Stabler would throw it to the right to Jerry Rice. He's incomplete. Packers-Bears, Chrissufferable Hollinsworth. Let's see what we got here. This one off from the 35-yard line, and it'll go to Paul Hornung. And Paul Hornung to the 22-yard line. He fumbles the ball and puts it on the ground. It's recovered by Ron Kramer, and Ron Kramer is running this ball. Now here's a guy who's running the ball into the end zone like Patrick Mahomes, and he's got the touchdown. Great job by Ron Kramer. That's one of those plays that only a guy like Patrick Mahomes could make. Amazing job here by Ron Kramer. Now to Nick Rice, Broncos Chargers.
To go for Manning and the Broncos. Straight drop from Peyton Manning. He fires deep to Thomas. That is incomplete.
We are here at a commercial break for all those teams. Broncos Chargers are still tied at the end of the first quarter. Packers and Cowboys, they're tied up 7-7. Both teams scored in different fashion. And the Raiders have a slim 3-point lead. Let's go to Rick 8-Bit in this Bears-Raiders London game. See what's going on here.
Jim McMahon back as quarterback. Hitting off to Forte. Forte hits a little traffic but gains 5 yards. McMahon back to pass. Wide open, plenty of time. He's got Jeffrey. 20, 15, 10, 5, and taken down at the 4-yard line. Chicago is ready to play today. Fakes the handoff. He's got a couple receivers open, and he gets it right into the hands of Brandon Marshall. Marshall's first touchdown of the day. Same with Jim McMahon. It's now 6-3.
Great job by Jim McMahon and the Bears rebounding after a tough loss last week to Minnesota. Going to the Packers-Cowboys game, something really big happened here. Roger Staubach passed deep to Michael Irvin, the X-Factor, and he finds the end zone. The Cowboys have a 7-point lead. Look at that graphic right there. Michael Irvin looking like he's having a day of himself. But we'll go to Broncos-Chargers after the Cowboys took a lead. Nick Rice again is commentating over that game. Nick.
Rivers and the Chargers had one first down, but went 6 plays and had to punt on their previous series. LaDainian Tomlinson does have just enough for a Charger first down to begin San Diego LA's second drive of the game. And they'll go run again with LT, top 10 on the all-time career rushing yards list, despite a injury of the ACL variety that hampered the tail end of his career. Deep ball to Allworth, who's wide open to the 20, and Allworth is in for a touchdown. The Broncos bit on the play fake, which nearly cost them on the last drive on a third down.
Awesome finish on that drive by the all-time great Chargers. Let's check back in with Rick 8-Bit, Bears at Raiders in London.
Because that was a good 10-yard shy of his receiver. Allen runs right into traffic. And special teams is coming on for the Raiders.
And we're here with the dual box, the Packers, Cowboys, Broncos, Chargers. Bears, Raiders are in a commercial break. Let's check in with these two games.
Championship prior to the Super Bowl era. Broncos will close the first quarter with a sweeping run out of TD,
whose play action rolling out, throwing it deep to James Lofton, and the ball is incomplete.
Plenty of time to throw it. Manning hit as he throws. Deep to Rod Smith, incomplete.
Again, no pressure. He'll throw the ball to Ron Kramer, and they'll get the first down.
This should be the final play of the opening quarter for Denver. A third down and 9 to go. Chargers brought the blitz, but Manning beats it with a deep ball to Sharp.
Green, he'll gain 3. Right before the end of the first quarter, we'll have one more play likely, and it'll be a handoff right to Amon Green, and here's a guy. All right, Bears, Raiders are out of a commercial break. Rick 8-Bit, he's got the commentary.
Fakes his handoff. He's got a guy wide open up top. Let's see if he sees him. Yep, Forte. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Ooh, stopped about the 12-yard line. Bears once again. Like I said, McMahon, 100% completion percentage. And they're giving the rock to Forte. Chicago's second trip in the red zone. Will they be able to make it their second touchdown? And Forte is saying, yep. Forte with his first rushing touchdown of the day. And Matt Forte adds to this lead of Chicago's. It's now 13-3.
All right, so the main question is, how did we get in the situation where Matt Forte was able to score that touchdown? Ray Guy, on the previous drive, would punt off to Devin Hester, phenom return specialist and wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, played with the Atlanta Falcons a bit, but he got injured. And this is not a very good sight to see because Devin Hester is a playmaker, and he be replaced by Thomas Jones at both positions. Now we'll go back to Nick Rice. Broncos at Chargers, seeing what's happening here.
For quarterback sacks, in there with another one, Hall of Famer out of Oklahoma State. Tom Ruin, best punt average in Denver history. Won a pair of Super Bowls in the late 90s for Denver. On the return, out to the 20, before a fumble from Jefferson is muffed right on the boundary and recovered by the Broncos punter, Tom Ruin. What a play by Ruin with the ball careening on the sideline. Touchdown.
What a play by the punter. Now we'll go to the dual box. 1st and 10 for the all-time great Green Bay Packers. Amon Green, the right side, he'll gain up to around 7.
Make some big moves for his team. Stopped about 38.
Another handoff to Amon Green. He'll gain 2, and they'll bring out the measurement.
And instead, Mike Singletary lays him out the sack. Now 2nd down 17. A loss of 7 yards right there. Hands it off to Allen. I don't know if this is a great choice. Whoa, looks like it is. 30, 25, 20.
Brett Favre is looking un-Patrick Mahomes-like until right now as he's throwing to the middle of the field. It's incomplete.
He's got a man. And picked off. Not what the Raiders needed right there.
Intended for Sterling Sharp. 2nd and 10 with 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Pitch right to Amon Green, who cuts around defenders, making it to the 15-yard line. Another 1st and 10, and Brett Favre steps up. He's sacked by Ed Too Tall Jones, and that's a guy who's not very Patrick Mahomes-like. Amon Green up the middle. He'll gain 6, close to the original sticks. 3rd down situation as Brett Favre, he'll play action. He'll throw to James Lofton in the end zone, and it's incomplete. Field goal attempt here for the Packers. Ryan Longwell's field goal is up, and the 33-yard field goal is off the uprights. Here's a guy. Wow, a huge missed opportunity for the Packers and Ryan Longwell. Let's go to the Chargers and the Broncos with Nick Rice.
Off of the play action fake, Rivers to Gates. And he races to the 32 for a Charger 1st down with 2:30 to play in the 1st half. A Rivers touchdown pass to Lance Allworth, coupled with a Tom Ruin fumble recovery for a touchdown. And we're tied at 7. Paul Lowe out of the backfield. He motors to the 11-yard line to set up 1st and a long 10. And Rivers off the play fake is sacked by one of the greatest pass rushers in NFL history, a product out of Texas A&M in Von Miller. Rivers fakes the handoff again. Under duress, he fires to LT for a touchdown. Tomlinson came out of the backfield and was wide open for a moment. Rivers found him just in time as LT takes the hit, and the Chargers are back in the end zone.
Now the real question is, how did we get here? Elam kicked off to Allworth, who's the number 1 receiver. He's also the kick returner. And look at the space he gets. Look at the blocking. Look at the poor tackling by the Broncos. And now we'll go to the Cowboys Packers. Chrissufferable Hollinsworth is on the call. Back play action. He'll find Emmitt Smith making up for that 4-yard loss. And it's a 1st down. Play action by Staubach. A bunch of open receivers. He'll find Jason Witten. And Jason Witten gets inside the 10-yard line. We have 1st and goal at the 8. Roger Staubach, who already has 2 touchdowns in this game, will find Emmitt Smith right, and he'll tiptoe down the right sideline for a touchdown. Here's a guy playing a lot like Patrick Mahomes going down. What a great touchdown by Emmitt Smith. We go to London with Rick 8-Bit, Bears Raiders.
And the Bears are going to make a stop. They do. Butterfingers drops the ball for the 1st down.
Okay, to break away from that, there was a huge chain of events in this game that put us to this point, and it was Jim McMahon throwing to Gale Sayers, and Gale Sayers would get to around the 26. There would be a fumble. The Bears would recover that ball, and then Jim McMahon, he'd throw a costly interception in the end zone caught by Jack Tatum, and this will lead us back to Packers-Cowboys. Chrissufferable Hollinsworth with the call. Another play action by Favre. Everyone's going deep. The ball is incomplete, intended for... All right, we're just about done. Packers-Cowboys, 2nd quarter. Denver Broncos Chargers, Nick Rice on the call.
Down by 7 will go to work, but Manning didn't have much of a chance. Another Bill Ray Smith sack, and it causes Peyton Manning to go down. Let's check out the quarterback depth chart for the Broncos. Manning is spelled by two-time Super Bowl champion John Elway. Second down, 18 to go. With Manning out, Elway stands in his own end zone and gets rid of it to DT on the run. Demaryius Thomas, foot race to the end zone, and he is down to the 22-yard line. Broncos call their first charge timeout after the big pass play to the perennial Pro Bowler from Georgia Tech, Demaryius Thomas. Davis to the 15. And the Broncos will they'll settle for a field goal. No clock stoppage here. And Jason Elam, with a few seconds left in the half, his kick is good. 14-10, Chargers with the lead.
All right, welcome back to the Red Zone studio. We are at halftime in every single one of the games that we've had here. Again, this is Hank from the PR52 YouTube channel. And, we've had some pretty good action here. Some of these games are relatively close, and some of these games are not very close at all. Of course, we've had Rick 8-Bit, Charger Dude 95, and Chrissufferable Hollinsworth on these calls. John Elway, who took over, he's perfect, 100%, 67 yards passing. LaDainian Tomlinson of the Chargers has 2 touchdowns. In the Bears-Raiders game, which is in London, commentated by Rick 8-Bit, McMahon is 75% of his passes, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Marcus Allen, 7 rushes for 69 yards. And with the Packers-Cowboys game, Chrissufferable Hollinsworth is on that commentary. Staubach, 85% of his passes completed, 226 yards and 3 touchdowns. Amon Green, of the Green Bay Packers, he's only got 7 rushes for 38 yards. Let's take you to the second half action of these games. I think these teams are kind of just checking in right now. Bears, Raiders, Rick 8-Bit on the call.
He's got some wide open receivers, though. Dicka with the first down.
Now to Dallas, Chrissufferable Hollinsworth on that call. Tom's like, Brett Favre with another handoff to Amon Green, and he goes down to the 39-yard line. Back to London, Rick 8-Bit, Bears Raiders.
Great channel. Appreciate doing this for him today. Forte finds a hole to another Chicago first down.
Back to Dallas, Chrissufferable Hollinsworth. 1st and 10 for Favre. He'll play action, roll out. Alignment drops right to the left of him. He throws it left to Amon Green. He bounces off defenders, makes it to the 5-yard line. We're here in the red zone. Bears Raiders. Rick 8-Bit on the call.
Chicago smart. Short plays, take off that time. He's got a couple men open. Forte, 10, 5, touchdown. His second touchdown of the day. First one through the air.
All right, after we show this clip from the Packers-Cowboys game in Dallas, we'll go to the try box. Here's a guy in Brett Favre who will hand the ball off for a living and give it to Amon Green for the touchdown. That's something Patrick Mahomes wouldn't do.
3rd and 11. They'll have to throw it here, and the Broncos bring 6 on the rush. Over the middle to John Jefferson, who's got a first down and more to the 31-yard line.
Up to Emmitt Smith, the Hall of Famer. He'll go around defenders. Here's a guy who's playing like Patrick Mahomes.
And they'll go back to the air off the play action. Rivers to the end zone for Allworth. Incomplete, a bit behind his intended receiver. Now,
it's a completion, but loss of 3 yards. Stabler's got a guy open up top. Does he see him? Allen, 30, 20, 10. Stopped at the 2-yard line.
Throw it over the middle to the weapon X Factor, Michael Irvin. He gets down to the 1.
Can they punch it in? Stabler back to pass. and it's picked off a
touchdown. The Cowboys now have a 14-point lead once again on that 1 yard. Those two games are in a commercial break. Let's go to the Chargers with Nick Rice.
Bring him down. Rivers with Miller, one of the 5 on the rush, has time and finds Gates. And Hall of Famer Antonio Gates out of Kent State, former basketball player. Down to about the 15. 3rd and 5. Tomlinson races to the outside and doesn't pick up the touchdown, but does have the first down. Chargers have used up just about the entire third quarter on this outstanding drive, and Tomlinson is down to the 2. This is some drive delivered by Rivers and the Chargers, who go run with LaDainian Tomlinson. Touchdown Chargers. He had a nose for the end zone and set the single-season touchdown record in 2006.
All right, let's check in Dallas with Chrissufferable Hollinsworth. Packers are down by 14 in this game. The Packers have the ball. 37 seconds, toss to Amon Green, who has been carrying the load for the Green Bay Packers all game. Here's a guy who's playing like, and I guess you can think about who I'm talking about, Patrick Mahomes. Although he drops that ball, it's incomplete. 2nd and 10 with 5 seconds left to go in the quarter. And guess who? Amon Green with the flip to the right. He makes it past the... We go back to Rick 8-Bit. Bears at Raiders in London, seeing the final plays.
Bears have scored every quarter so far. Rob Martin with the sack. Big play for Oakland's defense.
And now every game is at the end of the third quarter, and we've entered the witching hour, where losses become wins and wins become losses. Let's see if that happens to any of these teams. The Chargers are beating the Broncos 21-10. Bears are dominating the Raiders in London 21-3. And the Cowboys are winning 28-14, but this seems like kind of like a back and forth offensive. Could end up being a shootout here. And I think we'll go first to the Cowboys-Packers game in Dallas at Jerry World. And this one, of course, is commentated by our very own Chrissufferable Hollinsworth. We'll go to that game with him on the call. With another fourth quarter action in this game, the Packers had a first down, and Brett Favre would play action. He'll throw it to James Lofton, and he's got the touchdown. Favre to James Lofton. It's a 7-point game once again. Now, here's a guy who's playing like Patrick Mahomes, doing a great job play actioning. Well, that was a great touchdown pass from Favre to Lofton. Let's go to London, where we have the Bears and the Raiders. Rick 8-Bit on the call.
And Chicago called the right play. Well, they only had 8 plays to choose from, so they had a decent shot, but that's a huge stop.
Back to Nick Rice with the Broncos-Chargers game.
7 yards himself, thoroughly outdueling the Broncos' John Elway. Play action to begin the fourth quarter, hit as he throws, and he is picked off by Quentin Jammer.
That was a huge drive ender for Denver. Let's go back to Dallas with Chrissufferable Hollinsworth on the call. 1st and 10 as Roger Staubach, up by 7, throws it deep to Michael Irvin. He makes the catch. Going back to Nick Rice, I think the Chargers are nearing the red zone. Let's check in with Nick Rice.
Rivers shoots it deep. There's Lowe with the catch. And Paul Lowe is down to the 10. That'll bring up 1st and goal.
Now Dallas is nearing the red zone. Let's pick it up with Chrissufferable Hollinsworth to see what's happening in this game. And modeling his game after Patrick Mahomes, another ball over the head of CeeDee Lamb, a back shoulder catch. Back to Nick Rice with Broncos-Chargers. The Chargers are in the red zone.
In fact, more like the 9.5-yard line. Play action. Rivers is looking and throws to Tomlinson, who's got another. It's a hat trick from Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson, and this one's all but over.
LaDainian Tomlinson has been willing and dealing in this game We're going to go back to Dallas. Chrissufferable Hollinsworth's on that call, and it looks like Dallas might get a score here. Be another gain. 3rd and 3 for the Cowboys. Roger Staubach at around the 10 or 11. Pressure in his face. Throwing it to Michael Irvin. The Hall of Famer has another touchdown. Now here's a guy who does a great job getting open and making big catches. Looks like Dallas has got a pretty big lead here. Back to Rick 8-Bit in London. Bears at Raiders.
Who am I kidding, folks? It's Tecmo. They barely stopped the clock. He's got a guy open. Had some coverage. Same spot where he threw the pick. He decided to try it again. So, Chicago is on to kick the field goal. Butler's kick is up. And it's good. 24-3. And the Raiders are hoping that...
So it looks like the Bears got another field goal. We're going to go back to Nick Rice with the Broncos-Chargers game. The Broncos have the ball after that turnover.
Broncos are desperate. John Elway shoots it deep to Demaryius Thomas. It's the big play they desperately needed. Thomas, who's had a great day himself, down to the 21-yard line, and the Broncos call timeout.
All right, so we're going to go to London for the Bears-Raiders game. We're going to check out a 4th down play for the Raiders. They've got 4th and 15 with less than 2 minutes in the game. Kind of playing for pride here. Stabler is going to throw incomplete, intended for Marcus Allen. We'll pick up with the Bears with Rick 8-Bit live.
McMahon's got 2 touchdowns in the air. Forte. Ooh, they called that down at the 1-yard line. So it's clear Chicago is definitely trying to score here. Why not run the same play and get stopped? So, 2nd down and 1. Took 15 seconds off the clock, though. Very good call by that Chicago coordinator. Fakes it. Play action with Forte. And he's still going to throw it to Forte. Forte, another touchdown for him. Another touchdown for Jim McMahon, and it's 30-3.
All right, back to Broncos-Chargers with Nick Rice on the call. The Broncos have the ball deep in Chargers territory. Let's see what they do here.
That was the play that had eluded them for big portions of the game. Elway tucks it. He's at the 20, and John Elway is down to about the 11-yard line. 2:20 left in the 4th quarter. Is this too little, too late? Davis is buried in the backfield. The Broncos call their 2nd timeout. 2:13 left in the 4th. Blitz, and he is sacked. So the Broncos are out of timeouts, and this may spell disaster for them. 4th down, this for the game. Chargers on the blitz. The pass from John Elway to the end zone for Thomas. Incomplete. And that will do it. The all-time
All right, well, it
Chargers
looks like
are
the
gonna win
Chargers
this one.
have won this game. We'll go back to Chrissufferable Hollinsworth. Packers-Cowboys. This is a 14-point game. Packers have the ball, Favre, play action, rolls out, throws it to Amon Green, and a defender falls at his feet, and he has it at the 24-yard line. We got a special teams play that we're going to get to. The Bears are going to kick off after that Matt Forte touchdown.
We're hoping to just end this game quick. They came to London for some fish and chips, and nope. Somebody still had some grease on their hands because coughs up that football. It's a touchdown, no time left.
All right, we'll finish off this action going back to Dallas. Chrissufferable Hollinsworth on the call, Packers-Cowboys. A little more than a minute left, and the Packers, they call their final timeout. So they got to score, and they got to get an onside kick, but this won't help them. 50 seconds. 2nd down and 10, and Favre, he'll play action, throw the ball deep to Sterling Sharp. It's incomplete. Another play for Favre. He'll play action. He'll get sacked by Sean Lee. And that's a 4th and 19 with 26 seconds left to go. Favre, play action. Might be his last play of the game. Throws it to Ron Kramer. and he's unable to get the first down. All right, everybody, these are the final scores for the late slot window. Broncos Chargers, the game ended 28-10. Big win for the Chargers as they will move up to 3-2. Broncos will move down to 2-3. The Bears winning this game was big because they lost to the Vikings last week. They'll move to 3-2. The Raiders, on the other hand, they'll move to 2-3. Packers Cowboys. The Cowboys stay perfect on the season, and the Packers move to 3-2. So this was a big week for a lot of these winners. But, you know, if you lost this week, it's not like it's going to absolutely kill you. But this was the week, guys. This was Red Zone for the late game. I hope you guys had a good time with this one. And hopefully you guys will watch Sunday Night Football as well as Monday Night Football, as well as the wrap-up shows and the game of the week. Have a nice day, everybody.